Yeah. Okay, Chris, ready? It's rolling.
When we were about to do custom and vintage, we really loved the sound of the EMI desk on the drums, and even back then we talked about, well, the only other desk we'd really like to try on the drums would be a Helios, because we always wanted to work on a Helios. And once we'd ticked off the EMI box, we really wanted to find a studio with a Helios. And actually, it's really hard to find, because not only are they incredibly rare, it's hard to find one in a good enough studio with the right mics and the right room for drums. Sometimes they're just in a mixing room, or they're in someone's private studio where they just do guitar overdubs or something. So it's actually, there's not really many places we could go and get what we've got at this studio, Surefire, because they've got a nice room and he's got quite a few nice mics. So that's how we've ended up here. But it's been 4 or 5 years in the making, I think.
Console is the last one that's ever made in 1978, and to me it's just has a quality that no other desk has. It's just, very special. It's the only way I could describe it. And I think everything that the folks at Helios, they learned over the course of their 10 years or so of making consoles certainly went into this desk. So it was the culmination of all the years of making consoles, and so I think that's what makes this one extra special.
And the Helios desk has a very, very kind of crystal clear sound. It's coloured in a really nice way, and it's kind of it has very, very, very quick transient response. And so for drums, it's really, really great, for cymbals particularly, and it just gets a sound that is kind of different to a lot of drum sounds that most people are getting these days. Most people are recording on Needs or whatever else, but this is just something different, and but not necessarily in a retro way. A lot of people are still recording using these kind of sounds, I think.
Chris, so should we start with the hi-hat then?
Yeah, it's hard work, and the thing is, when you get down to the quieter samples, the microphone's there and I'm here and I can feel myself breathing, and then I stop breathing when I'm playing the quieter sample, so you find yourself running out of breath, and it's all quite crazy.
Okay, go.
Just really clean hits, and the difficult thing is to try and get them all at the same volume level. You can't go and then the next one go. It just doesn't work like that. You've got to get them all at the same level for the velocity that you want. And then even when you hit the hi-hat, some of these toms are ringing, so you have to wait for those to stop ringing to get the realism and everything. So it's great when you finished it, but actually doing it's not a lot of fun.
We're halfway through recording, and we've recorded the Noble Cooley kit. Sounding great. It's a fantastic room here at Surefire Studios. It's really big and it's got really nice ambience, and we've got 4 ambience mics up, 2 stereo pairs, one's Omnis and one is cardioids, and that really gives the idea of the space of the room. And then above and beyond that, we've got a whole load of mics and a whole way of different approaches that the user can use with the product. And everything is sounding fantastic coming through this desk. It just sounds really different, and it really sounds like it's kind of really it's really got an attitude to it. The drums really sound like they've got attitude, and but also they sound a little bit unique as well. It'd be very hard to find this sound somewhere else. I don't know where else you could find that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've been connected with Noble and Cooley since around the McCartney sort of era, and I was using a lot of mainstream drums, and I was getting a bit bored by the sound, and I bought a Noble and Cooley snare drum, started using it in the studio. I really loved the sound. Then I read in a magazine that they were making these kits, and so I contacted them and got hold of a kit and used it on the McCartney tour, and that was the kit that we sampled for Custom and Vintage, the Star Series kit. And then I became like an endorser of Noble and Cooley, and the next thing I did was a Dire Straits tour on Every Street tour, and Noble and Cooley had a new kit at that point called the Horizon kit. The Star Series kit was incredibly difficult to make because it was all steam bent shells, and they decided it would be easier to make more of a standard drum kit construction, more of a ply drum kit, but it just sounded phenomenal. So I took delivery of that kit just before the Dire Straits tour, and took that out for a year and a half. And at the end of that tour, I kept that kit, and that's a standard double-headed kit, and it's my favourite kit. It's the one that I use for most things. And a few years ago, I just happened to email Noble and Cooley and said, "Have you got any more of those shells sitting around?" Because they stopped making those kits after a few years, about 3 or 4 years. They were too expensive to make as well. And they said, "Oh yeah, we've got a stack of shells that we haven't sold." And so I said, would you think it was crazy if you could make me a Horizon drum kit but single-headed? And they said, "Oh no problem whatsoever." So Noble and Cooley with concert toms, single-headed toms. And I just said to Peter, when we were thinking about doing another Toontrack project, I just said to Peter, it'd be great if we could find somewhere in America to work, because then I could get this drum kit, because I stored it at Noble and Cooley. I could get this drum kit down and it would sound amazing. It'd be really great to do a single-headed drum kit for a Toontrack product. And so yeah, we've been working for a couple of months on finding the studio with the Helios where was close enough to Noble and Cooley to get the drums down. So yeah, that's why we're using these drums. And the other thing I suggested was just to have a counterpoint to the Noble and Cooley, because it's like a custom built drum kit, one of a kind, and it's single headed. I said to Peter, let's do something that's really like a classic mainstream kit. And we found out that at the studio here they had a Yamaha Recording Custom, which was the drum kit that I used for loads of records in the 80s. It was my favourite drum kit, and I had a kit. And it was also one of the biggest drum makes before DW came along towards the end of the 80s. And Steve Gadd and J.R. Robinson and all those guys were using Yamaha Recording. Vinny Caluto was using them. And so so we're going to do this Yamaha Recording Custom, which I'm really excited about, because it's the Noble and Cooley's maple and mahogany, and the Yamaha Recording Custom is birch, and it's a more focused sound. It's almost pre-EQ'd. It's supposed to be almost pre-EQ'd, so it's going to be a completely different sound. And yeah, I think they still sound great, and there's a few drummers still using them, but they're like the last classic kit.